I think what we're finding is as far as our experience is going is that you can say that I did this for the client and I checked this, and till you actually go through, all of us do go through audits, I know, but till we actually go through a SEBI audit or a SEBI inspection, we come to realize the fact that we can talk a lot about it, but if we do not have a documentation, then we are not able to prove that we are compliant to a certain greater extent, like 80, 90, 100%. Obviously, we do tend to try to be as compliant as we can, but there's always like something which can get missed out by human error, or just by the fact that we are not completely aware, and I'll give you some of the examples that we had along the way in previous years also. The other key point that we understand is that it's far, far easier when you have new clients and you have prospecting going on to kind of complete whatever it is in terms of, we do a lot of data gathering for clients because we are very focused on giving good advice, holistic advice. But some of it is also documentation, which is needed for compliance. So whenever you're onboarding a new client, it's far easier to make sure that you have a small checklist and you have a documentation checklist and you can tick off a lot of things. And there could be some items which you as an individual or a non-individual practice have to do, but essentially you can't get away from the fact that documentation is definitely required, because it's not like the client is onboarding today and the audit or an inspection would ask you for those today. Maybe that question for an inspection may come up an X number of years later. And at that point in time, if you do not have the documentation, it kind of shows up not so good for you as a practice, because essentially you should have done it in an X year beforehand. So every client, every family, depending on how you kind of define it, it's very, very important that you have like a certain set of documentation, and also you have like a process to retrieve it at some point in time. Because one of the things we also found from experience is that not just having the documentation, but also knowing where it is, because an inspection could ask you for a document which is like a previous year or many previous years, many years back. The other item that we think is relevant now, again, there's a lot of debate about, if you're an individual practitioner or an individual IA, you would be like, why should I sit and write this process? But soon, I think as you grow and you have a few people in your team, or even if you're doing it yourself, if you have something written down, it's far easier to be very peaceful about the whole compliance process and say, I've ticked off these 10 things. That means this client of mine who has come is onboarded and is also compliant.